I don't normally wear a watch, and it's not because I don't like watches. I actually love wearing one, but I'm just out of the habit of putting one on each morning. And on top of that, the watch styles that I tend to gravitate towards never seem to justify the enormous price tag on them. This problem right here is something that seems rather small and insignificant, but it's a problem many people have experienced that are much like myself. And that's how today's guest formed a solution to that problem that quickly generated $60,000 a month in revenue, $13,500 in profit on Shopify. Here's how he did it. What's going on, everyone? My name is Matthew Osborne, and what I'm about to share with you is from an interview that took place back in 2016 on a podcast called The Young and Elite. In this podcast, I interviewed successful entrepreneurs that were under the age of 30 to figure out the things they were doing that really led to their success so early on in life. And then we take a step back and we figure out how we can apply those same principles to our lives to increase our success. If this sounds interesting to you, be sure to subscribe below to be notified when future videos just like this go live. Today, we're diving into the story of Jonah Saya, a 17-year-old from Colorado that saw a need for appealing watches that didn't break the bank. He decided to solve this problem for others by creating a Shopify store where others could find quality watches at a reasonable price. Very soon after he started his Shopify business with no previous experience, he was at $60,000 a month in revenue and $13,000 plus a month in profit. Let's talk to him and see how he did it. Young and Elite, episode 10.
Welcome to the Young and Elite podcast, where your host, Matt Osborne, interviews the world's most elite entrepreneurs under the age of 30. Learn how to become self-employed, gain financial freedom, and live a life on your terms while you're still young. If you want to join the ranks of the Young and Elite, keep listening because it all starts now.
What's up, everyone? Matthew Osborne here with another episode of the Young and Elite podcast, the show that interviews elite entrepreneurs under the age of 30 2 times a week. I'm excited to bring you our guest today, the founder of Watch Outfitters, Jonah Saya. Jonah, how are you doing today?
Great, Matthew. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, of course. Jonah is the youngest guest we've had on the show to date at 17 years old. But don't let his young age deceive you because he is doing big things. Jonah started a business on Shopify called the Watch Outfitters, where he's turned his love for watches into a business that is now grossing $13,500 a month, and is a featured business on Shopify's newsletter. Jonah, tell us a little bit more about who you are and what you do.
So I'm just a regular kid from Colorado with a love for watches, as Matthew had explained. And, you know, I wanted a little bit of a challenge. And to me, that was starting my own business. My family's full of entrepreneurs. So I just set out and made it happen. And that was really big on my end to just make sure that I was persistent with it and that kept it going. But it was go ahead.
So a lot of people have ideas for businesses, especially young people that want to start a business. They have these great ideas for online businesses, and many of them even try and start something. But a good portion of the time it ends in failure. What do you think made your business a success? Walk us through how you started Watch Outfitters and created it into what it is today.
I founded Watch Outfitters on a passion for watches, and that a good quality watch shouldn't be expensive, and that we have the Rolexes of the world that cost thousands and thousands of dollars, but even then you can get a quality watch for under $100. So my mission was to set out and find quality watches that didn't have to be over $100, and every watch on my website is under $100. But I started off very simple, YouTube videos on Facebook ads, podcasts like this one to keep myself motivated, and things like this just to make sure that I was on the right track. And from then, it's just a learning experience. And if it fails, you just got to get back on your feet and start another one. And this is my one success out of 4 businesses maybe, and I try to start up a new business every 3 months, and this is the only one that's really taken off for me. So it's all about learning to keep going and to push through all the ups and downs and get there. And it's been an awesome experience for me, that's for sure.
So you said you've done a few different podcast type interviews. You said Facebook and YouTube ads, I think you'd said. Is that where you think the difference was between this business and the last businesses you started, or what kind of separated those, do you believe, in your mind that made this one a success compared to the last ones?
I would say the fact that I stuck with it. The other ones, I think I let go a little too early, and I didn't really have the passion behind them. So finding something that I really loved, which was watches, and that I'm part of like the demographic that I would sell to, really helped me to figure out who my customers are. So that was big for me, just really finding a product that I enjoyed and that I use daily also.
So what were your first streams of revenue in the business? How did you start generating money? Because I bet if I do a Google search, there's a ton of places online that sell watches, probably even cheap watches as well. What did you do to set yourself apart and start actually bringing in revenue to the business?
You have to bring value to your customers. And what I mean when I say that is that you're not just selling them a watch. You're selling them something that is going to improve, let's say, their appearance or anything like that. You have to provide value to the item that you're selling. And that was a big turning point for me in the company, because at first I started off with goals of cracking $100 a day, maybe. And now my goal is to be cracking $3,000 a day. So just simple little tweaks to your advertising and the way that you think about your business can really make a huge difference.
Now, are you going at this alone right now, or have you brought on some people since you've started? And also, when did the business actually launch and go live?
So the business launched at the beginning of February. I believe it was either February 1st or February 2nd. And the other part of your question, I do have one person who I use for customer service help, but other than that, it's just me.
So is this something that you're drop shipping all these products out to your customers, or are you actually taking these in and shipping them, or how's that working?
I have a designated supplier who I use who drop ships all the products for me. So I don't ever touch the products except to check quality at the very beginning.
So when you had this idea for this business, you got onto Shopify because that's where I believe you're selling most of them right now. Did you just put together a simple website, you found the supplier, threw up a couple of those watches and figured out a good way to start advertising, or did you start selling to friends and family first and get word of mouth? What was the main traffic source for you?
I actually did not mention this to friends and family until it was off the ground, which I do with a lot of my companies. And when I do mention it to them, it's like, I need help. I need to find somebody else to hire, stuff like that. I'm not big on bragging into my companies or anything like that. My mentor, Brian, is actually the one who convinced me to put it up on Shopify. But as far as the Shopify side of it goes, Shopify is amazing. They have auto-coded websites, which I use. I just use one of their templates, and all you have to do is put in product images and descriptions, and it auto-populates for you, which is really nice and convenient and saves a lot of time for me not having to code the whole website on my own.
Oh, Shopify is definitely a time saver. I've used it in the past and highly recommend it as well. So what would your best piece of advice be then for someone that wants to do what you do and wants to start a business that actually is successful? Maybe they've had some failed ones in the past, but want to actually do something that works this time. What would you give them as advice?
Find something you love and make sure it's something that you're passionate about. Like I'd said earlier, a big part of why I believe Watch Outfitters was so successful is because I understood who I was selling to. Because I am one of the people that I would buy this watch. So that's huge. That takes away so many hours of research and knowledge that you really can't gain by research. So that would be a big thing that I would say is find something you're passionate about and you love. And then from there, you just got to stick with it. There's going to be ups and downs, but if you can get through those downs, there's always a bigger up. That's definitely what I've learned. I've had days where my sales tank anywhere from 200 to 300%, and then the next day I'll be up tenfold. So it's all about being patient and persistent and working through the hard times.
When you started this business, was there a little bit of a lull at the beginning where there were no sales or there was very few sales? How did you get through that, or did it start pretty quickly, start picking up sales and progress?
No, there was a lull. I didn't have one sale for about 7 days before the business really started picking up. And then from there, it was just the fact that I took more time with it. And I sat down and I modified the way I was advertising. And the big change was that I went from selling products to selling value, as I had spoken about earlier. And that was when everything really started to take off and actually become a scalable business.
What are your future plans for this business? What do you dream about for this business right now?
I'd like to continue to take the business into different avenues besides watches. Just mainly accessories, maybe wallets, bracelets, stuff like that. But and hopefully be able to do $1 million in sales within 1 year.
What are you currently at with gross profit? I know that when you had been featured on Shopify, it was $13,500 a month. If you don't mind me asking, what's your current gross profit for your business?
An exact number, I'd have to look into it more, but a range would be about 40 to 60,000 a month.
Wow, and did that Shopify, when Shopify featured on their newsletter, did that help spike your sales a little bit? Was that a big push PR-wise for you?
No, I think it was more of I saw it more as a motivational article, that people my age can do this, and that the big thing is that you don't need a lot of money to start a business like this. I started this business with $300 that I had saved up from babysitting and summer camp activities. I mean, I was scraping together money to get this one started up.
So what would be one habit that you think the Young and Elite listeners should implement in their lives? What's a habit that's helped you?
Learn and never stop learning. There's always more to be learned, and when you stop learning, that's when you stop improving.
Awesome. All right, well, I have an analogy type question for you. It's a little more of a fun question, but also I think it's one of the ones that adds the most value to people like you and me that are young and wanting to start up a business. So here's an analogy. You have a shoestring budget, you're working full-time, but you want to become self-employed within the next year. What business would you start, and how would you start it?
I would start the exact business that I did. Set up a drop shipping website through Shopify and drive revenue through Facebook ads. It's a very minimal time commitment once you get it running. And I say that because at the beginning, I was spending hundreds of hours just to get the business up and running on its own, but it truly does run on its own because now I only spend maybe 30 minutes to an hour every day working specifically on the business. Now, to keep improving, of course, there's extra time that goes into that to learn and to adapt to the new changes that's going on in the world around us. So, but the business really does run itself on its own, so that's what I would say. Do a drop shipping website and drive revenue through Facebook ads.
What has Facebook ads been the one that you've seen drive the biggest traffic to your website, or what do you count as the biggest key in actually driving that converting traffic to your website?
So as of right now, I'm still trying to master Facebook ads. And one big thing that I've found is that before you can call yourself a master of a certain type of platform, to not move on to the next platform, if that makes sense. And my reasoning behind that is that you don't want to spread yourself too thin. So until that I can do Facebook ads in my sleep, I won't be moving on to a different platform. But so as of right now, that is my main source of revenue.
Did you learn Facebook ads just from Google searching and watching YouTube videos and figuring it out on yourself, or what was your main way of learning that?
I did, and I asked a lot of questions. There's hundreds and hundreds of Facebook groups where people are coming together to learn Facebook ads, and even Shopify Elite groups, stuff like that. And they're open to the public, which is awesome. And if you ask a question in there, there are hundreds of masters of Facebook ads who will offer up their knowledge. and that's been an amazing resource for me.
Alrighty, well, it is time for the rapid fire round. I will ask you 6 questions in rapid succession, and you tell us the first thing that comes to your mind. Are you ready?
Sure.
Alright, what is one goal you are trying to reach right now?
$1 million in sales within a year.
What is your favorite app or software that you would recommend?
Shopify.
What is your morning routine?
Get up, look through orders, and check over ads, and watch a YouTube video on Facebook ads.
Alright, you are given $100,000. You can't spend it on your current business and you can't start a new business with it. What would you buy?
I would invest in other businesses.
Alright, and for the last question of the rapid fire round, is there any plug for your business that you would like to share with the Young and Elite listeners?
What do you mean by plug?
As in, do you want to send them to your website? What is your website, by the way? If they want to check out your website and see it for themselves, how would they get there?
The website is watchoutfitters.com.
Watchoutfitters.com. And do you have any type of newsletters or anything there that you think would be helpful for people to sign up for or anything like that?
Not at the moment. I'm working on finding somebody to start writing a blog for me, but as of right now, it's just products and our About Us page, which is actually pretty interesting. So I guess they could head over there and check out the About Us page. It'll give them more of an idea of the business.
So if a listener wanted to ask you a couple questions, what would be a good way for them to get in contact with you?
They can email me at info@watchoutfitters.com.
All right, Jonah. Well, thank you for dropping some amazing value and insight today. I know I appreciate it, and the listeners do as well. And to close out this awesome interview, I have 2 last questions for you, Jonah. Who are you, and how are you feeling?
My name is Jonah Saya, and I'm feeling young and elite.
And that is the interview with Jonah Saya. What was your biggest takeaway from Jonah? Be sure to leave that in the comments below. More episodes just like this are dropping every Tuesday night at 6 p.m. EST. Subscribe below to be notified when they are released, and I hope to see you there.